Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign in B-17 Flying Fortress Leader by DVG. Last week we finished up the month of August 1942, so now we're on to September, and as you can see, our Luftwaffe squadron map just turned into more of a mess. So we definitely need to be very careful as we plan how we want to go about these missions. So we've got all of our targets lined up. Let me make sure I didn't need to replace any targets. I think only from, let's see, that should be part of end of month procedure. Oh wait, we did have to replace an aircraft factory. Okay. Because I did have a note that I did have to replace an aircraft factory, so let's go ahead and draw out a new aircraft factory target. So I'll give these a quick shuffle. And this will turn into being target 4. Alright, so our new aircraft factory target is another factory over France. Hex 7, range of 2. We can take up to 4 bombers on it. Damage 2, 5, 9, and 13. Air to ground +1. Incendiary 6 and 8. Luftwaffe response +0. Flak response flak 6, 9, and 10. 1 roll. Repairs on a 7+. So that is target 4 now. And I'll grab my D10s that I'm using to mark my targets. So as you can probably guess, I've got my aircraft factory targets marked in purple and the airfields marked in blue. I need to be sensitive to the airfields. Let me make sure I didn't need to replace any airfields too. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. So we got all that sorted out. So yes, our aircraft factories are in purple once again, whereas our airfields are in green. And most of our airfields right now look to be in Germany. So that target is also 3 supply and victory points. So let me get a 3 supply marker out for that. Okay. Alright, so we are all set to start week 1 of September 1942. So let's see what we're doing with that. First we get our weekly SO points, which is another 15 SO points. That'll bring us up to 16. So let's see what I want to do with that. And I think we are going to take a new fighter group. Because our bomber, actually, are we going to? This is an 8 + 4 would be 12 to immediately promote it. Yeah, I think we are going to grab another fighter group immediately. The reason I'm going to do that is because because of the reinforcement of the Luftwaffe squadrons, I do want to be able to try to intercept some of those. I want to be able to intercept those on each mission if I can. Because I've got plenty of bomber groups. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bomber groups. So it's conceivable that I could send fighter escorts with both missions. So we are going to grab our last fighter group that's available to us. And, right, they come in green. So we could spend 4 points to bring them up to average. Actually, let me double check that. I'm pretty sure they come in green. And then we can spend... Oh no, they come in as... I think that means extras come in as green. Let me double check. Let's see, select the... If you have more groups than are listed, all additional groups have the skill noted. Okay. So they come in as recruit. I could spend up to 4 SO points to bring them up to green. And I think given I think given what we're doing here, actually they would come in when the group is purchased to increase to green. Hold on, this makes no sense. So I'm looking at this group, the Spitfire, this 31st fighter group. Okay, so the lowest level is recruit, okay, right? Modifier is air-to-air modifier is +1. If I were to promote them to green, that suddenly turns into a +0. That I have a hard time swallowing that, and everything else is +1 from average and +2 skilled, +3 veteran, and +3 ace. So I'm going to house rule that is supposed to be a +1 on the green side for the Spitfire. So I am going to spend 8 SO points to bring in the Spitfire, and I'm going to promote them to green right away, along with that house ruling, because I can't swallow being a level up. Come on. And having a weaker air-to-air modifier. So I am bringing the Spitfires in. There we go. Now I'm curious. I want to see if there's... While I go digging for the chit for the 301st, or the 31st, I should say, I want to see if there's an errata for that. I'm hoping there is, because like I said, I have a very hard time swallowing that. Let's see, B-17 Flying Fortress Leader, update kits and errata. No, there isn't an errata for that. So either nobody's pointed it out, or that's supposed to be behavior as intended. But like I said, I can't willingly swallow that. 31st, here we are. Hold on, did I miss the 93rd in here as well? Before I put these away, let me go digging for that. Let's see, 93rd Bomber Group. Okay, not in here. 92nd. Let me see if it's still in the campaign bag. Doesn't look like it. I think anything that was in there, anything that was in my one campaign bag spot is already out. It's not stacked on the board. Let's see, 303rd, 92nd, 97th. Nope, I did miss it. It was in there. Okay, now that we got that all sorted out, I can put these away. We've purchased the group and we'll be heading into the morning briefing once I decide... Once I put these chits back away from my pilots or for my other bomber groups, or for the other bomber groups, not necessarily ones that are part of this campaign... We'll decide what targets we're going to start working over. Now, where are my tweezers? I'm mostly using these tweezers for being a pointer. And I've got a set of tweezers that I really liked. Okay, there's another stapler, which is not what I'm after. Whoa, I got stuff falling all over the place here. Ah, here we are. Okay, winding that around the side. Okay, so our new target is actually down here in... Our new target's down here in France. We have to run the gauntlet of a pair of Luftwaffe squadrons to get to it, though, as we'd have to with the aircraft factory that we worked over last week. We've also got this aircraft factory down here in Belgium, which wouldn't take any resistance. Problem is we still need airfields to go after, but the problem there, once again, is that most of our airfields right now are in Germany. We've actually got 2, and then an airfield tied to our special HO-229 weapon. That's a long way away. And we have to be sensitive to range on that as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, both of our Spitfires can get there, but then they're not going to be able to escort us back. So we've got the... So this one is an airfield, and our aircraft factory that's tied to that is actually right here, which is not too far away. That one we could get to easily enough. But I risk leaving the aircraft factory down here untouched. But that's a gauntlet of Luftwaffe squadrons I'm not sure I want to run this morning, and I do want to try to knock out that HO-229 if I can. So I want to try to take that out before it becomes active in November. So, I think with that in mind, I am going to turn my attention to the HO-229. So, I think we're going to send a group after... Let's see, fortunately we can take 4 bombers on both of those airfield targets. So I think we're going to go... So I think we're going to go after this one. So we're going to go after target 7. And we're going to go after target number... I don't completely like the idea of flying this far into Germany, but I think we're going to be a little bit daring here. And we're going to go after... Oof. I don't like that airfield over Berlin. So that's going to be one I think we're going to skip. So let me grab my 2 chits here so I can mark off which ones I'm going after today. So we're going after the... Yeah, I think we're going to work over the targets tied to the HO-229, which is a more advanced weapon. So we're going to go after target 7 with 1 in Germany, and then I am going to be daring, and I'm going to go over the... And I'm going to work over the... Actually, we're going to look at the aircraft factory in... We're going to look over the aircraft factory down here. So we're going to pull everything else off except for the targets that we're going after. So 6 and 9 can go away as well. Alright, I'm just going to put these dice away real quick, and then we'll assign the targets to each of our missions today. I'm going to grab a couple more black dice so I can track any damage I do to the targets. Okay, so now we're assigning our groups to each mission. So, let's see, we now have 8 groups, so I can send 3 bombers on each one. This one only has 1 Luftwaffe squadron, depending on our response. So we are a -2 on the response roll, so that's not just completely nothing. So I think we are going after... Right, we decided this target first, where I've got 2 that I need to be worried about. So this one we're going after So mission 1 is going after SW-01, Special Weapon Target 01. So who do I want to send after that? Air to air. That is going to be... I think we're going to send the Spitfire 4th on that one. So this is SW-01. Then who else do I want to send with SW-01 or with Spitfire 4th? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up to reorganize these, and I'm just going to put them on the board for the time being. You guys can't see it, but I've got the first group off camera. So I definitely want to do some damage on this one. So we're going to send... I think we're going to go Berlin Sleeper on that one. Hell's Angels are going to go on that one. As will... we're going to send Paradise Lost on that one as well. So I'm going to organize these. So who did we say? We're moving Scarlet over into the second group by default. Oop. Okay, so we're just going to reorder this a little bit. It'll be the same order that I put up on the mission display once we get that far. So we'll bring the Spitfire down here. Let's see, then we're going to have the... Actually, it doesn't really matter after that. Actually, yes it does. We'll have the Berlin Sleeper first, since it's got the YB-40 and it gives me the best air-to-air modifier, as we could still have bandits theoretically intercept us. Then Paradise Lost, then the 97th Bomber, then Paradise Lost, then Hell's Angels. Then we'll send everybody else after the aircraft factory in Bonn. So that's going to be Spitfire 4th. Actually, no, Spitfire 31st. So SW-02. Everybody else has got a +2 air-to-air, so I don't think it really matters. We'll do it like that. I'm just redoing the order here. So we've got the Grim Reaper. Death Dealer. And Scarlet. Okay, that's a pencil in case you were wondering what you were hearing writing. Alright, so we're going to arm the bombers, and we're going to deal with the target, the group going over to this target first. Let's see, I don't think we have the SO points. We only have 4 SO points, so nothing special in terms of weapons that we want. So we're going to put the target there. Then we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. 3. Actually, range of 4 is going to be escort returns, right? Yes. So 4 escort returns, 5, and then we'll be back over the UK base after that. Question is, do I have any more chits for any levels than that? I don't think so. Oh wait, looks like I get a few more bandits in here. Hold on. throw those. Actually, no, I'm not going to throw those in. Looks like my range markers only go up to 5. Which hopefully won't be a big problem, but we'll see about that. Okay. So we've purchased our, actually we're arming our bombers right now. So I think here we don't have any incendiaries that we have to worry about. So do we just load everybody up with normal stuff? We've got 4 SO points, so like I said, I do want to try to do some damage here. Well, I think we're going to load up mostly with a standard complement of M30s. Actually, okay, so this target actually is dispersed. That's what I was wondering about. I wasn't sure if it was dispersed or not, but it is. So we want mostly M30s, I think. I'm just trying to see if I can find... Most of my M30s are going to be on the back of the M43s, some of which we're probably going to use. Okay, so let's go 2, 4. I'm counting these out by tonnage right now. 2, 4. And each of these M43s is going to cost 1 SO point and have a tonnage of 2. 2, 4. And yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to give each one of them an M43 as well, which is going to cost me 3 SO points. So that'll bring me down to 1 SO point. Okay, hopefully you guys are enjoying a little bit of Sunday morning bombing action. So we don't have our tactics counters, mission setup. So we're going to start with the Spitfires on escort. Then we're going to have the Spitfire 4th flying low. Then we're going to have the Berlin Sleeper, the 97th, and the 303rd. That's how I arranged everything on the cards. So now we're going to roll for Luftwaffe response, and I'm going to grab a smaller dice tower because my normal one is going to be way in the way right now. And I want to leave the board mostly intact. So, opening closet door, closing closet door, after realizing that the dice tower I want actually isn't in the closet. We'll put that right there, kind of out of the way, and not very bright in there. There's not really much I can do unless I shift that light forward, which is actually helping a little bit. That tower has always been a little bit... A lot of these towers have always been weird the higher the trays are. So there's not much I can do there. And I don't want to cover up the UK base too much. So it's kind of a delicate balance of where I want it. So now we want to roll for Luftwaffe response. We've got our new commander, Commander Ellers. Thankfully, the Luftwaffe response roll is still a -2. Actually, we have new technology that we're looking at here, I think. So, tactics, technology. Identifies the technology to put on the track. Okay, so we've got the ME-262 now that we've got to worry about. So now I need to grab the secondary mission of ME-262, which is not there. It's probably a special weapon. Let's see. Question is, does it replace the... Does it replace the new technology? I doubt it. Do not remove the technology counter if he's replaced. Okay. So now I think I'm looking for secondary, it's probably a secondary mission. Oil Campaign 1. I know I've got more secondary mission cards. I just have to find them. I put the rest of them down here. Let's see, ball bearing targets, secondary mission. Here we are. Okay. Where is the ME? Here we go. ME-262. This technology won't become active, so we do need to put out the research counters only get delayed when targets SW6, 7, and 8 are destroyed. Okay, so actually, this technology is never going to become active, so I'm not going to worry about it. Because the campaign will be over either because I've decided to call it or the time will run out on the campaign. I'm just going to make a note of that. And the game's going okay-ish so far, Jester. I'm just getting things set up here before we start our mission. We need to roll for our Luftwaffe response. I just had the commander card in my hand. Fortunately, given the campaign, we've still got a -2 we've got a -2 to our response roll. So hopefully we still roll low. That's an 8, -2 is 6, which is still average response. So what that translates to, and it looks like I just got an email about my defender summary. So a 6 is an average response, which fortunately for us, once the card decides to focus, there we are, which means that we still have up to 4 bandits to respond, but only anything in our current hex will try to intercept us. So that is actually very welcome. We'll actually put both the dice in there. So now we start into the target-bound flight, so now we'll draw a target-bound event. I'll give the events a quick shuffle. We're just about to start our first mission now. Okay, so here's our first event card coming up. We want the top event. Flight miscommunications, or fighter miscommunications. Fighter escort can't meet up with bombers. Remove fighter groups from the mission. Oh, that's problematic. So the 4th fighter group is now out of the mission. That is very bad. Which means I need our flight chit for group 1. So we are facing interception on the... So now we're going to have to deal with interception ourselves. Or with the bombers. So formation check. I'll roll blue for the Berlin. Actually, we can probably grab the black die so I can check for everybody at once. So actually, to do that, I'll leave the blue and white for attacks, and instead, I'll grab out a couple different colors of D10s so I can roll everybody at once. I've got a mess of D10s from when I was briefly playing Warfighter, and I needed D10s. So we're going to roll black for the Berlin Sleeper, yellow for Paradise Lost, and orange for Hell's Angels. Berlin Sleeper needs a 5, Paradise Lost needs a 7, and Hell's Angels need a 6 to stay in formation. Which everybody but the Berlin Sleeper will stay in form. Actually, no. Everybody but Hell's Angels will come out of formation. That'll be problematic when we go over the target. I'll leave the dice tower in shot. Then we'd have liftoff a squadron interception. Nobody's in our hex right here. So no bandit attacks. Fighter groups had to come out anyway. Liftoff a squadron's rearm, and we reloop. So we're back to our next target bound event card. Occupation resistance. Change any desired non-German target intelligence level to high. Okay, not too worried about that. But then we move into a space, move the mission counter, perform formation check. So now we want Berlin Sleeper and Hell's and Paradise Lost to get back in formation. Which the Berlin Sleeper will get back in formation. Paradise Lost is still out though. So now we have to deal with the squadron. So let's see what we draw for a squadron. We do have one counter that we have to deal with here. So here's our counter. And we've got an FW-190 already. That's delightful. 2 turns, defense of 1. 4, 6, 9 are the numbers there. So everything is going after the lead group. So we've only got the 1, which means he's going after the 92nd. We'll get these dice out of the way. We'll probably use those for the other group. Got an average response, so I'll mark that. So we've also got 2 turns that we've got to deal with this. So we'll have the bandit attack first. It's going after the Berlin Sleeper. That's a 3. -1, actually, I don't think durability reduces the attack marker. I think it just reduces the damage that gets taken. I'm trying to remember what the durability is for here. 17 represents the durability, which is okay. So subtract positive durability. Okay, so that's a 3 -1 is 2, so nothing happening to the Berlin Sleeper. Which means the Berlin Sleeper needs a modified 10, and it's got a +5 air-to-air modifier because of the YB40 it's got. That's a 6 plus 5 is 11, so this FW-190 is actually taken out. Which means the squadron is rearming. And when I flip that over, where does that go? So that attacked, flip over to the rearming side. The squadron's in the same hex as the mission group. Okay, so rotate that so a 1. So the 1 is facing up. Okay, so lift off a squadron rearming. Okay, so I flip that over for the rearming step. Okay, so now we loop again. Now our next target-bound event, as we're about to get over the target. Smoke pots. -1 from all air-to-ground bomber attacks. Oh, that's great. So now we move over the target. We've got another squadron that we've got to deal with. So let's see what we get this time. Another FW-190. This is a -1, so it looks like there's something special about this one. Let me see if the bandit counter will explain that to me. Because it's in green, so that's a little bit of a problem. It's got 1 attack turn, -1 modifier, so everything's going after the 92nd. So oh, I forgot to roll for formation checks. Oh no, we don't roll that. Actually, we rolled that already. Okay, so yeah. All right, so we're back to the attack now. 7, 9, 10 are the numbers. That's a 7 -1 is a 6, so nothing happening there. And once again, +5 for the Berlin Sleeper. That's a 9, so that bandit gets taken out. Because the +5 will bring it up to a 14. Right, then the squadron rearms. And now we're over the target. There's no damage over the target. This is the first time we're working it over. So target 7 will get rolls against each of our fighters. And I'm going to grab more dice for this so I can roll all of my flak attacks at once. And I need one more black die. Okay. So once again, I'm rolling black dice for the Berlin Sleeper, yellow for Paradise Lost, and orange for Hell's Angels. And where's my cup? I normally have a dice cup that I use when I'm rolling this many dice. Ah! Found it. So what we want to see here are low rolls. And everybody's got durability of 1. Okay, so it looks like everybody's taking at least 1 hit. Actually, so that's going to be a 6 and 9. So for the Berlin Sleeper, 1 modifies down to a 0, 9 modifies to an 8, which means the Berlin Sleeper will be taking 1 hit. That shouldn't affect it, I don't think. Let's see, Berlin Sleeper, 5, he's still okay, so that's good. As for Paradise Lost, 2 modifies to a 1, 9 modifies to an 8, so Paradise Lost is also taking 1 hit, which also won't shake him up. Then for Hell's Angels, 1 modifies to a 0, 7 modifies to a 6, so he's taking 1 hit, and I think everybody is still... Yep, everybody's still okay, so we get normal... So we get full strength modifiers as we get ready to bomb the target, which is what we're doing here. And once again, color-coded dice. So we're going to use the Berlin Sleeper's bombs. We'll go ahead and roll... We'll roll black for the M30s. We'll roll black for the M30s and yellow for the M43. So we're going to do it... So black for the M43, orange for the 2 M30s. The 2 oranges are going to be modified by +2 because this airfield is a dispersed target. Oop, wrong color, but I'll pretend that was an orange die. So we'll pull that in as a 7. Okay, so we've got a... So the 1 modifies to a 3, that does no damage. The 6 modifies... Actually, we did it like this. Okay, the 1 modifies to a 3, so that does no damage. Actually, the 1 modifies out to +1 air to ground. So that's a 2. Actually, that's a straight roll because of the YB40. So that modifies... That's just a 1, that'll do nothing. The 6 doesn't get modified either, so no... Actually, +2. So that does net out to a +1. That's where I was getting the net +1 from. 1 modifies to a 2, that does nothing. 6 modifies to a 7, that does 1 damage. I'll grab a blue marker so I can track damage. Then the 7 from that modifies to an 8, which is actually going to do 2 damage on... Which is actually going to do 2 damage, so that'll bring it up to 3. And we're already into light damage territory on this airfield. So Berlin Sleeper's all done. I can move the bombs back over to my firepower pile. Then we'll do the same thing for Paradise Lost. Unfortunately, Paradise Lost has a -2 dispersed penalty. So we'll do the same rolls there, which... The -2 dispersed penalty will cancel out the dispersed roll on the M30s. We've got an air-to-ground modifier, so that's going to net out to... That'll net out to a +1 on the M30s and a -1 on the M43. Slow and steady progress, yeah. Okay, so 0 is a 10 in this game, which means that will modify to an 11. So 1 M30 will do 2 damage, bringing it up to 5. That M30 is a 5, that'll do nothing. 4 minus 1 modifies down to a 3, so no damage from Paradise Lost. Then we have the Hell's Angels, which I'll get to them in a second once I bring these bombs out of the way. Same roll scheme there. For the Hell's Angels, they've got a +1 modifier for air to ground. They don't have the dispersed penalty, so they're not worried about that. And +2 on the dispersed. So for the black dice, Hell's Angels are getting a total of +3. Paradise Lost just has a +1. Let's see if we can do some serious damage here. Probably not from, well, yeah, probably not. So +3, 1 modifies to a 4, that one does nothing. 2 modifies to a 5, that one does nothing. 8 modifies to a 9, so that'll actually do 2 damage on the M43, so that brings that up to 7 damage, which is actually medium damage. So the Berlin Sleeper didn't do much. So 0. Actually, I note the total damage on my log. So yeah, we actually did a fair amount of damage on this airfield in Göttingen. So that's very welcome. We can get all of these bombs out of the way. And now we're homebound. So now we turn our happy asses around and head for home. We'll draw a homebound event card this time. We will draw Smooth Weather. All bomber groups automatically pass all formation checks. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, we also had a -1 air-to-ground bomber group, so I'm not going to worry about that now, though. Also, we should have had Luftwaffe formations, so everybody passes. Luftwaffe Squadron Interception, which means it's still rearming. So now we loop back to homebound event. We're over here now, so our next homebound event. Germans Want Revenge. Reroll Luftwaffe response, add +3 to the response. Oh, great. Here we go. That's a 1 + 3 is 4, so that actually kind of backfired now because they've got a poor response, not that we're going to get hit with anything anyway. So we move the mission counter. Squadron, nobody intercepts, and then we repeat the steps. We got one more homebound event, and then we're back over the target. And then we're back home. Tactics defeated. Remove any remaining tactics counters from all groups. We didn't have any tactics to start with, but the first group gets home. So now we go through mission debriefing. For that, we reset squadrons. So we've got 7 damage on the. So we've got 7 damage on the. No, they're not happy with us. We got 7 damage on the bomber that we just went for. Final target damage status. So that's going to be medium damage, which is what I was in here for. Where medium, but not reduced yet, because they haven't done their repair roll. It's all light. Looks like all I've got available right now is medium reduced, so that's what we're going to put on there. Okay, VPs and XPs, we didn't take it out, so everybody just gets 1 experience. So that was Spitfire, who, even though they got Spitfire 4th, who did get experience, even though they got chased away quickly. Berlin Sleeper, Paradise Lost, and Hell's Angels. And since they newly promoted last week, nothing happening there. Aircraft Factory Target Steps. which nothing there. And no airfield target steps, nothing there. So now we do have a remaining mission. Now our target is going to be over in Hex 13, so down here. And we will have end of week a little bit later, but I'll deal with that at that point. So now our group 1 is done. Now we get group 2 ready. We'll trace their path, which will be considerably easier. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we don't need factory 5. I'm just going to put all of these back away. Well, if they're not happy with us, let's see if we can continue making them unhappy with us. I wouldn't object to that in the slightest for obvious reasons. Let's see, so we don't need this. Where do I want to put it? I will put that. I'll actually put that in one of my main campaign bags, most likely. We'll put that with the weapons for now. Okay, so now that we've got all that set up, now we're going to arm our second group of bombers. And I think we want it... do that. And then this is for formation. Just getting that ready to go. Are we going to run these probably about the same way? Well, we've got the Death Dealer here who can actually pack a little more firepower. Problem is we've only got one SO point left. So I do need to be aware of that. And this is not a dispersed target, so we're not going to get the dispersed bonus for that. And I don't have incendiary, and it doesn't have incendiary either. So, do we just load up with normal firepower? I think that's probably what we do here. I think we just load up with mostly normal, maybe give the Grim Reaper a little extra firepower, just because, again, it's got 2 more tons of bombs that it can carry. So for now, I think we'll go 2, 4. You guys can't see it on camera, but I'm loading everybody up in this squadron with M30s to start with. Then we'll go 6, 6. Do we have anything at 4 tons? Or do we just go, I think we just go full M30 for this mission. We're probably not going to do a lot of damage on this one, but I also don't anticipate buying any more groups for at least a couple weeks, because I want to get us a little extra firepower. I want to be able to buy some extra firepower, especially if I think I'm going to start working over the targets that relate to the HO-229, which is the advanced weapon that the Germans are currently researching. So we've done all that. Display mission setup. We're going to send the 31st in flying low. And I've arranged the order already. So the 305th is going to be lead. Then we're going to have the 93rd and Scarlet. And now we'll roll for Luftwaffe response. Once again, -2 on the roll. 3 -2 is 1. So once again, we're not going to have any. We're going to have poor response on this one. So now we're starting to target bound. We'll draw our event card. Actually, before I do that, I should check to see if the event cards get reshuffled between each mission. I don't think so. Yeah, I would tend to think. Let's see, remaining mission. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about shuffle the events between missions, so I'm not going to. So our first homebound target event. Bomb jettison. A random bomber group must jettison 1 bomb of my choice. I'm going to have Scarlet jettison one of their M30s because they've got a -1 air to ground, so they're probably not going to be... The only way they're hitting anything is in my dreams, most likely. So they'll move there. Formation checks. And I just had... Here we go. I was going to say, I just had extra dice. So just like I did for earlier, I'm going to roll all of these at once. Black is going to be for the Grim Reaper, yellow for Death Dealer, orange for Scarlet. And everybody... So Death Dealer needs a 5+, Grim Reaper needs a 6+, Scarlet needs an 8+. Let's see, the only one who stays in formation is Death Dealer, so everybody else is dispersed. Which is also more of a problem, because now they've got a -2 penalty. Luftwaffe Squadron Interception, there's nobody in our space. Fighter groups return to base, if they're at their range, except the Spitfire's got a range of 4. Squadrons rearm, and we repeat the steps. So we're back to target-bound event once again. Weather updates. The weather in the target zone is worse than expected. Apply -2 air-to-ground modifier. Well, as if I thought I was going to hit anything before, now we're not going to. So we'll put that there so I remember. Then we'll move in. Another formation check coming. This time, Grim Reaper comes back into formation. Scarlet's still out, and Death Dealer comes back in formation. Actually, Death Dealer stays in formation. Okay, then we've got Squadron Interception. So we've got to draw for a squadron that's attacking us. Actually, I believe we draw for the squadron, for the Luftwaffe Bandit first. Or do we determine if... Yeah, so we draw first. Oh, wow, that is lucky. No bandit. So, the squadron theoretically tried to attack. If we draw a no bandit, I think that still counts as drawing a bandit, so that's what I'm going to go with. Which means the squadron rearms. And now we're over the target. We have no new damage. So right, we're going to roll for our flak. We're going to do it the same way we did earlier. Same color dice. We've just got more of them, and we want to see low rolls. So up to 6, no damage. 6 and 7, 1 damage. And 9 plus 2 damage. All right, this orange die looks like it's trying to settle on 1. So it's got... Let's see. Okay. We're going to need the clipboard with the mission, with the campaign log on it. So for the Grim Reaper, 8 is going to do... So it's going to take... So Grim Reaper is going to take 1 damage. Which still means he's okay. Death Dealer is going to take 1 damage as well. That's Death Dealer. Which actually makes Death Dealer shaken, as if we didn't have enough problems with hitting the target. Scarlet is also taking 1 damage. So yeah, the only way we're hitting anything here is in our dreams. But we'll humor the dice gods and see if somehow we get a miracle. Unfortunately, I think everybody's got is M30s. So we'll make this real easy. We'll grab the Grim Reaper. Actually, we'll grab one more black die, so I can leave the key, what I'm calling the key dice, down below. So the Grim Reaper's got 4 M30s. Grim Reaper, we established, is 4. He's okay, so he's got a +1 modifier, but he's also got a -2 weather modifier, or -2 air to ground. Excuse me, so that'll net out to a -1, which means we have to roll high here. And we do nothing. To the shock of, well, not yours truly, that's for sure. Death Dealer's up next. A straight... Actually, Death Dealer, I think, is the one who is shaken. 5 damage, yep, that was enough to shake him. So he's got a -1 from that, plus he's got a -1 from that, plus -2 for the weather modifier, which means we've got a -3 roll. So yeah, the only way we're hitting anything here, like I said, is in our dreams. And yeah, -3 says Death Dealer does exactly bubkiss. And Scarlet. Scarlet was okay, I believe. Let's see, 3. Yep, Scarlet's okay. But but even that gives a -1 air to ground modifier, plus the -2 is -3. Which also does exactly bubkiss. Once again, to the surprise of sure as hell not yours truly. Anywho, now we're drawing event. Now we're heading home. So our homebound event. Experienced liftoff of pilots. All bandits attack with a +2 air-to-air modifier. Fortunately for us, we're not going to have anybody attacking because we're moving into the mission counter formation checks. Which this part probably doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Except to say that the Death Dealer and Scarlet are both out of formation. Which Scarlet already was out of formation. No squadron interceptions to worry about. And we repeat steps. So we'll draw another homebound event card. Contrails. Contrails are visible. Draw 1 additional bandit for any bandit interceptions up to response max, which fortunately we've got nothing there. Because we moved back over the UK base, which means the mission's over. So all of them will pick up 1 experience. Spitfire 31st gets a trial by fire. So 1 experience, 1 for Grim Reaper, which is enough to promote him, but I'm going to deal with all of the experience first. 6 will also promote Death Dealer, but 2 will not promote Scarlet. So let's take a look at the Grim Reaper. So now that he promotes... He goes from average, I believe, average to skilled. So skilled for Grim Reaper means 0 to 8. Means he's okay with a +3 air-to-air, +1 air-to-ground, 9 to 11 shaken, +1 air-to-air, -1 air-to-ground, and the nothing else changes on the... Oh, looks like it is a little easier for him to stay in formation with a 5+ now on the roll. So Grim Reaper goes to skilled. Actually, Grim Reaper goes to average. Oh, I think I had him as being average already. Okay, looks like I had the wrong card out. Not that he would have hit anything anyway. So looks like now Grim Reaper is out. Now Grim Reaper is average. As for Death Dealer is the one going to skilled. Just making it home and alive is half the battle, so that's a bonus. Yeah. Alright, so Grim Reaper now loses all of his experience. And now Death Dealer is the one who's going from average to skilled. Yep. Hold on. Still having problems getting this right. Okay, so now let's take a look at Death Dealer. Alright, skilled. 0 to 5 is okay. So now he's back to being okay. Coming out of this mission. Still attacks at slow. +3 air-to-air, +0 air-to-ground. 6 to 10 shaken, slow, +1 air to air, -1 air to ground. But he also picks up a replacement 1. So does that happen at end of the month or end of each mission? I think that happens end of each mission. Let's see, end of the week. Don't see anything there. Maybe that's end of month. No, actually it is during mission debriefing. So reset squadrons, final target damage status. I did VPs already, group status. So Death Dealer actually replenishes 1. So he'll go down to 4, which makes him even more okay. Let's see, aircraft factory. Okay, so we do have to see if this airfield in if this airfield in Germany, so the one that was in here, repairs. And they repair on an 8+. That's a 4, so no repair there. That's very fortunate for us. But that'll do it. So that'll do it for today's playthrough of B-17 Flying Fortress Leader by DVG. Next week will be week 2 in the fall campaign. Going to be a little bit of a slower week coming up since I'm still on my semi-break, but that will be ending on Saturday. As I mentioned, next week we'll see the fall campaign continue in B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. As for what else is coming up on the channel, Wednesday we're playing Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game by Green Ronin Publishing. Saturday, probably a morning stream. Saturday will actually be the 2001 Feature Game Selection Show as I'm going to start getting ready for the 2001 season replay. That'll be starting January 1st. Baseball season replay, by the way. That'll be in payoff pitch baseball, but we'll see more of that as we get closer to the replay. Saturday afternoon, I'm expecting Mystical Munchies will be the entree for Redo Month, as we're going back to the Dungeons & Dragons Flavors of the Multiverse cookbook to revisit the entree, Rothy Steak. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.